GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Realty. Mike and Nate and Harrison teaming up to help you sell your home faster and for top dollar. This is the George Hildrick Tyler Show. The Spin Doctors are both on vacation with their respective families. They are not in their respective states this morning. They'll be back next week on GHRT. On the campaign trail, Ed Thelander, the Republican of Bristol, a former U.S. Navy SEAL. I saw that, Ed, and I had to ask, isn't it once a SEAL, always a SEAL, similar to once a Marine, always a Marine?
Yeah, you're definitely not getting me out of it. You know, one of the things you'll always be in touch with it.
I understand. Ed Thelander, the Republican of Bristol, he's running for Congress in Maine's 1st Congressional District. Welcome back to some Q&A on GHRT. And we'd like to know if we could ask you our question of the day. We talked with a listener who sent us an email this morning about the trucker protests in Canada. Our question of the day, do you think the trucker protests in Canada have been successful in seeking changes in that nation's pandemic rules? What do you think, Ed?
You know, that was a perfectly peaceful protest. You know, if you want to end that protest, all you have to do is stop mandating things that don't need to be mandated to people. Those folks sit in their trucks for 12 plus, hours a day by themselves. And, let the pandemic be over. Let's move on with life and know that it's really COVID's going to be here, and we have to learn to live with it. But if you want to end that protest, stop mandating things that don't need to be mandated.
Even as some news accounts tell us that the blockade is over because the trucks have been towed and they've even frozen the financial assets of some involved. And yet President Trudeau, still granted by the lower house and the higher house in Canada, will vote today on giving him emergency powers. If the protest is over, why does the president of Canada, why does the premier rather, still need emergency powers?
Well, just like here in America, there are people in these progressive, socialist, Marxist countries that are going to take advantage of whatever they can to get more power. There's no need for it. Again, the protest is over. And if people aren't scared that they're taking and freezing bank accounts there in Canada and stopping the funding of these peaceful protests, and they are peaceful. They're not burning, they're not looting. They're family events almost, or are. But, it should scare everybody. We're going to get 85,000 new IRS agents, to monitor our banking. I'm sorry, we don't need all the IRS agents we have now. We definitely don't need 85,000 more. It should scare everybody.
And one last question about the trucking protest, and then I want to take you to the other side of the world in Ukraine, but still to Canada. Why did we not see a similar, by now I'll say, why did we not see a similar trucker protest in the United States, do you think?
I think there's just been a lot of beatdown, and people are tired, and the different peaceful protests that we have here in America, they get equated to the violent protests that the progressives throw, and it's absolutely horrible that we can't voice a conservative opinion without getting the media to back us up and show us and give us equal play.
Ed, we're talking with Ed Thelander, the Republican of Bristol, former, still as ever, a U.S. Navy SEAL, running for Congress in Maine's 1st Congressional District. Dateline, Russia, where Russia is taking the first steps toward military action in the Ukraine, according to news accounts. Troops are reportedly moving into 2 breakaway areas. Even as we speak, Russian President Vladimir Putin gave the order last night after recognizing the territories as independent states. The Biden administration expected to respond today with new sanctions against Russia. As for a full-scale invasion, U.S. officials are still confident that could happen any day now. I read that straight from a news account that posted at about 5 this morning. Ed, what's going on in Russia, and how do we stop Putin? Because if you are elected to Congress, these are matters that will be on your plate.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Right now, it's absolutely, what do? We put ourselves in a position where we are not respected. And, with everything from way back to Syria, drawing a silly little line in the sand and then not backing it up, to our pullout in Afghanistan more recently. If we're going to get involved, by the way, we left $80 billion worth of good and useful equipment in Afghanistan. That's a lot closer to the problem than we are here in America. We left $80 billion of equipment that will get used against us someday, and we could be using to, support people where we need to support them, not support the Taliban that is our sworn enemy. So pivot into that a little bit, but back to Russia. If we're going to have any authority in the world, we have to get respect back again. And we lost so much abandoning our people in Afghanistan. We need accountability in our government if we're going to actually get and be able to do something. We've committed some folks there now. Pulling out of the embassy. Pulling out of the embassy is no joke. We kept an embassy in Beirut all the way through all that fighting, and we're crumbling faster and faster. We're losing respect. So where can we go until we actually get some people that will be respected? And I'll tell you, when I give my word and I say, we're coming in, we're going to do the right thing and do it and finish it. Right now, we don't have the respect to put our foot down.
If America doesn't have the respect to put its foot down, what hope or what role could Biden and his administration even play in trying to get Putin to stand down, Ed?
It'd be awesome if we could say that we could do economic sanctions, but as we turned off our pipeline, we can do sanctions, we do other things, but we turned off our pipeline here in America, making us poorer and weaker, and asked them, the people that we're about to go to war with, or maybe, to turn on their pipeline, and giving them more money in their pockets and making them stronger. So we could do what has just, undo what has already been done. We need to get things back and made here in America so we gain that power and respect and can actually legitimately put sanctions on people. But again, we did the opposite thing. We gave them more money and told them to beg them to turn on their pipeline while we turned ours off and made things harder in America. We keep looking the other way in America, where we ask other peoples to make our products, burn fossil fuels overseas, where they don't do it as well as we do here in America. And we empower other people and grow other nations while we are shrinking ours and putting people really in the hurt locker.
Talking with Ed Thelander, Republican from Bristol, running for Congress in Maine's 1st Congressional District. AAA surveys regular unleaded in the state of Maine right now at $3.55 per gallon. $3.55 per gallon. National average, $3.53. If tensions continue in Russia, where's that going to go? How farther north?
Yeah, hey, it's already gone further than it has to. All we have to do is start taking back control again. Yeah, for people like me, I'm regular working folks, and people that I've been talking to on the campaign trail. Some of those folks, they're at the end. They can't have another hike in anything. They can't have another tax, and their electric bill is going to make them make decisions. People in leadership right now, that it doesn't bother them that their electric bill has gone up to $200 or $300. They don't see it. They don't feel it. It's not even a bump. It is a huge wall to some of these people where they're really going to have to make decisions. Lady I spoke to the other day, she does not want to go and take money from the government. She wants to keep on working, but she's making some hard decisions. And the progressives in this country are absolutely causing people to become dependent on the state. And we do not want economic enslavement here in America. And it's happening.
Ed, I wanted to ask you about the Walk for Vets. I saw you wrote an item on it. I want to say this was back on February 2nd, the Walk for Vets. It kicked off in Augusta. What's all that about?
22 vets commit suicide every day, and that number is just getting bigger and bigger. we're trying to get more understanding of it, and it's those are combat wounds that folks are, great giant warriors are killing themselves after the combat's over, because it's not over for them. We need to recognize that, and we need to, help out and step up. There are so many different things, because it's not just the horrors of combat. It's those the concussive trauma that folks are getting, and the brain damage, the actual chemical imbalance from living that adrenaline lifestyle, and then slowing down and mowing the lawn. When you get out, there's so many different things, and the folks, the veterans out there, if you have a problem, if you're not seeing it straight, because folks, like Ryan Larkin, SEAL, committed suicide. His father, it was actually a Master at Arms for the Senate and retired Navy SEAL. He's going on the warpath because his son killed himself, but his son wanted his brain donated to science because he knew something was wrong. And wow, to recognize it, to be a true stone-hard warrior, and then not be able to do anything about it. That says a lot.
Ed, a listener writes to us, what frustrates me is knowing there are homeless vets in our state, and we're spending money to put asylum seekers up in hotels in southern Maine. Now, I'm going to jump in on that, and I'm going to say, well,
sure,
if we want to be a welcoming nation, as we have been for these many years, I guess we should be welcoming, but are we not nimble enough? Are we not strong enough? Are we not a solvent enough nation to welcome and care for both?
So, the huge problem with the southern border, because if people think that flow is natural, normal, they're wrong. The southern border, and I went and visited the border right after, I announced that we're running. I went down to get my last paycheck teaching a class for Alan West, rifle pistol class. And that was my last, paycheck since I started running. This is all we're doing. But I went down to the border and went down there with Alan set me up with a candidate down there, Sandra Witten, who's in the Laredo area. We watched border crossings. We watched 2 border crossings in the Laredo area where families are not allowed to cross. And families aren't allowed to cross there because the cartel says don't cross here. So there's someone that said no, and it doesn't happen. And that crossing, they were about 400 yards apart, swam across the Rio Grande and played around on our side for a little bit. Probably 30 agents involved and trying to control that. Helicopter involved, not cheap, man, 30 for an hour plus 2 hours. Then they swam back, and who knows what happened, further down the river with that distraction. We went down to the Roma area where families are allowed to cross, and watched a crossing there. Talked to the National Guard there, and the night before, someone's died. A child died swimming across the river. They got to them. They tried to revive. Could not do it. That doesn't have to happen. It is more expensive to cross illegally than it is to cross legally. It's plus or minus, $1,000 to come to this country legally. You do have to wait in line. Got it. We could open that up more if we didn't have illegal crossing going on. But we just have to say no to it because it's insanely more expensive to cross illegally. It's about $2,000 to cross if you're illegally if you're from Mexico. It's $3,000 to cross if you're from Central South America. Mm-hmm. $5,000 to cross if you're from China. $9,000 to cross if you're from Middle East or Russia. Do the math. It's about the rush, and now they're getting free cell phones, smartphones.
GHRT Rewinds, brought to you by your hometown real estate team, Laughlin and Wolfington Realty. Thinking about selling your home? Call 629-9211 and start packing.